Welcome, everybody, to Fragrance Scopes for Aries season, March 20th to April 19th. I'm with the awesome Aries herself,
Yay.
Diane Crecca. We're going to be talking about your season, Diane. I'm really excited about this.
Me too. I'm very
This is going to be
excited.
great. It's I can totally feel the difference in energy. Like I feel much more alive now.
Uh-huh.
Not that I don't like every season has its own vibe. Like I love Pisces season. It's more fluid, flowy and like fluid, but Aries energy is just it there's a pop to it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if I'd say a pop, but that's your description. Okay, I'll take it. For myself, I think people think I'm sometimes a little like I would say I don't know if I would use pop, but like energetic, very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. So maybe pop.
They're very up people, very up, and I think you can just get. I think you can get a lot done. I mean, even under an Aries moon, like it's a big get stuff done moon. You can get a lot done. You just plow through it. So yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to talk all about the different fragrances for the season that we suggest. For everybody who's new here, well, welcome. And if you're returning, well, welcome back. And you're going to learn in this episode how Aries energy enhances confidence, courage, and leadership. You'll learn the metaphysical properties of suggested Aries fragrances. Then we're going to talk about how you can use fragrance to align with Aries' bold energy and their assertive energy. They're very assertive. And also, we're going to talk about Perfumist.Fr. If you're interested in any of these notes, well, all you need to do is get on your phone and go to Perfumist.Fr. In your app store, you can pull up this app. It's free, and you can type in any note that you have that you want to learn more about, and we'll give you a list of fragrances and even reviews for some of them, so you can find your fragrance for spring. And by the end of this episode, you're going to have the knowledge to select fragrances that resonate with Aries energy, to amplify your courage and drive to lead. Whenever we talk about Aries, there's always this sense of leadership. Diane, were you always pushed into leadership positions, whether you wanted to or not? Did you always wind up being like the leader?
Unfortunately, yes. There were times that it sounds like that movie, every time I try to walk away, they pull me back in kind of a thing. There have been times when I've said, I just want to be passive. I just want to sit, do my work and go home, and something would happen and they'd say, well, why don't you take over for this? And why don't you try that? And before you know it, good or bad, I would be getting a promotion and moving up in the corporation. And really nothing that I did to specifically push for that. It just was the way it turned out, like management made the decision for me. So I guess that's a good thing. I mean, when I was in school, I always wanted to be like, on the board of the, like the president of the class, or I wanted to be in charge of the newspaper, or, things of that nature as well. So yeah, I'm just not a passive person. I just can't sit quietly. I guess it's just not in my nature. So yes, leadership is maybe as the oldest child too. Maybe that helps a little, but I just feel like if I could do it better than how it's being done now, then just get out of my way and let me do it.
Right.
That's kind of my attitude.
Well, what is it? They say lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Get out of my way. Exactly right. Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Aries as an energy fosters growth through confidence and action, expanding by embracing boldness and leadership. Well, I heard once, like all Aries think they're gorgeous, and I do find that to be true. They have this like sense of like raw confidence. It's just very like they don't overthink things. Have you always been like a very confident person?
It depended on what it was. I mean, in certain areas, I know I'm not very good at. I know that, and I try to, keep my mouth shut. But if I know what I'm talking about and someone challenges me, I'm up for the challenge. I will, go right back at them, with my point of view. So I guess it would depend on what it is. But for the most part, I mean, when you talk about courage and all of that, I think that courage is something that everyone, I believe, has courage at some point. But there have been friends that have said to me, "Oh my God, you were so brave to do X, Y, and Z." And I was like, never thought twice about it. Like, the only way to, get through something is to just go through it and get to the other end. So if courage is the way to do it, then that's what you have to do. So I never back away from things. I just push forward and get it done.
Yeah. What's interesting they say about courage is that it's not the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I'm scared to death to fly. I hate it.
Yeah.
And yet, for my job, I used to fly all over the world, and I'm sitting on a plane 6 hours, 8 hours, and I've had some awful experiences on those flights. And do I like to go? No, but I go. You have to just do it, so
yeah, it's a necessary evil.
It's a necessary evil. Have to go. Yeah.
And Aries also it's going to be a time for all of us to embrace confidence by taking bold action and exploring leadership paths to growth. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, they have this great vision. They're just natural leaders. And if you have a vision, because I think leadership and vision are synonymous. So if you have a vision, you can't expect somebody else to get that vision and implement it for you, right? You gotta lead the charge. And I think that's really key for most Aries. They're just really significant leaders.
Yeah. I think part of that, though, is being able to, if you do have a vision for something, you need to explain it the right way to, the leaders. And I'm talking about corporate world now. Mm-hmm. If I have an idea to start a new department, let's say, or something, you have to have, yes, the vision, and you have to be able, but you have to be able to speak to it in a way that convinces them that what you're doing is the right thing. I think it's part of that is maybe why it's, I was always in sales my whole life, because I was able to convince people for the most part, that what I was doing was the right thing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you have to look at everybody's chart. You have Venus very, very close to your sun. So that makes like Mars is the ruler of Aries, which is like the masculine principle. And with Venus, it's the opposite. It's the feminine principle. So with Venus, with you, it makes you more easily digestible, more likable than the typical Aries, right? Because if you had, if you were just an Aries without the Venus there, and also you have a lot of Taurus in your chart, you have good Pisces in your chart, but just Aries is like an archetype. I would say they're typically probably not good with relational or conversational, salesy type things. Do you know what I mean? Because you need a certain level of patience when you're selling.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Aries are not known for that at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, I do have it. Again, professionally, I have it, but in my personal life, I have a tendency to not be as patient. I'm really trying to work on that.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who's a Pisces, and she's always saying, "Take your time. No reason to rush." And I'm like, "Get it done." So I'm trying to take a step back.
Yeah, it's tricky. I have Mars in the first house, which gives me properties of Aries, and I was raised by an Aries. So the impatience, like, for instance, people who I live in the West Hollywood area, and there'll be people who are going into the gym and they are coming back from the gym, which is even worse, and they'll stand on the escalator. Like they won't walk down and they won't give room. Like they won't stand. Like, and that will infuriate me. And I will just talk, and I will talk shit. I don't care. Like I'm just gonna I'll get into a fight. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it because it's just so selfish and also impractical. You're going on the Stairmaster at the gym, and you can't walk up or down, even worse, a flight of stairs.
That's crazy.
Makes no sense. Yeah. So I hear you. Yeah. But I think this retrograde, it's been in Aries. It's making us all be like, all right, take a beat.
Yeah. Take a breath. Calm down.
Exactly. But that Aries energy gets stuff done. Well, let's talk about more with Aries and what it's all about. It's confidence and courage, as we said. It's about embracing bold action and using determination to lead and conquer challenges. So
I agree.
it has that ability to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's me.
And additionally, it's all about passion, because I feel like with that passion, it's very, very contagious. And I think that's another reason why Aries make such good leaders, because it's almost like, say you have a candle and you have a flame, and you can light somebody else's candle and it's not taking anything away from your flame. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think with fire signs, especially Aries, they can ignite passion in other people without reducing themselves, and they can, that one spark can really inspire other people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, the idea of being able to light other people's candles and then they light other people's candles. So it's a very passionate. Have you always been a passionate person?
Yeah, I don't know any other way to be.
Yeah.
Actually, it's got to be. But again, when I would hire people, I would have a vision for them. Like if I would hire someone to be my admin, my vision would be, I want them to be able to take my job someday. Like where can they go? And I would try to, inspire them and give them as much of my, encouragement as possible so that they can be a success the way I was a success. I think, people that kind of keep you down, that's just not what I just can't see that, it's not cool. You got to be able to encourage others to, give them your passion, give them your love of the business that you're in so that they can be successful in life,
Yeah. And that takes a lot of confidence, because I mean, it could, for most people, be very all about Eve. You know what I mean? Like this new person's coming in, I don't want her to take my position and whatnot. And I feel like Aries they're so confident that that doesn't even cross their mind. They're like, no. Me replaceable? That must be some kind of joke.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, right. I love that. I think that's great because, like you said, it's good for leadership because you're then guiding somebody else's growth, and you're not insecure. You're coming from this place of wanting them to thrive. Whereas people who are less confident, they're going to be cagey, and they're going to be like when I was in corporate. I remember I was just very naive. I had this supervisor who did not like me at all. She was actually the opposite sign of Aries. She was Libra. And in a meeting with her, I told her, she's like, well, what do you see yourself in the company? I go, well, I see myself in your job. It was very, very innocent. And I was thinking, like, I get to the next level and you go to the next level. I'm not trying to take your job. I'm trying to, like, we grow, we evolve. I see myself in your job, I told her. And let me tell you, that was the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was so innocent about it. I was like, I did not even, it didn't even cross my mind that she'd be nervous about that.
Nervous about it. And how long did you last in that job?
Oh, no, I outlasted her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We went to war, and
wow.
Yeah, I got in my licks.
Okay. Good for you.
She didn't like me, and a psychic actually told me. She said that I reminded her of her brother who got away with everything, who got away with murder. Oh. You know what I mean? So she was probably like, an older sibling, and like her, little brother, and I did probably get away with a lot. My CEO for that company was an Aries, and that was probably why I got away with a lot. But I was called passionate, but I really would, I would fly. My report would be like, flies off the handle often.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I've mellowed a lot since then. That was back in New York. In any case, I'm glad that you have that confidence, and that's a very Aries thing. So Neptune in Aries is happening. It's really exciting. So Neptune's the planet of illusion, and it has to do with dreams, it has to do with spirituality, and it's been in Pisces since 2011. And now it's going to be entering Aries actually on March 30th. And what's going to happen is it's going to be in Aries from March 30th to October 22nd this fall, 2025. And then it's going to back into Pisces until January. And then come January, it's going to then re-enter Aries, where it's going to stay till 2039.
Okay, that's gonna outlast me. That's for sure. Wow.
I don't think so. How many years is that? Well, let me see. 2025 minus, well, no,
About 18
2039.
years or so, right?
Oh yeah, you'll be around. Let
We'll
me see.
see.
2025. Oh, it's only 14 years.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, please, yeah. Because the thing is that, like, people, I mean, it's incredible. 100 is the new 80, and 70 is the new 50. I mean, it's crazy. But with this Neptune, it's going to bring us a lot of creative energy. It's going to urge us to act on our boldest dreams with fearless confidence. It's going to inspire us to trust our instincts and to take daring risks. And
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be really cool. And I think with Neptune, because Neptune has a certain quality that it's about high fashion. It can be about, in a lot of respects, fragrance, really, because it's a liquid and it's like this mist and it creates this like aura that is beyond logic. And that's what Neptune does. It takes us beyond our intellectual abilities and brings us to this higher plane of awareness, which is very much about fragrance, right?
Yes.
Like takes you away.
Yeah. Exciting.
It's going to be
Good.
exciting.
Yeah.
I think more fiery fragrances are probably going to be more popular as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's going to be quite cool. So fragrance as a tool, you can use the Aries season, March 20th to April 19th, to step into your power and to fuel your ambitions. And also you want to, stop and smell the flowers, especially now that we have Venus retrograde, we have Mercury retrograde, we have eclipse season. Things are being jostled around a bit. And when we use fragrance, you can empower your inner leader and embrace any new challenges that come your way. Because if you're breaking new ground and you're moving in new areas, we can expect there to be new challenges, and I think that Aries is always about the new. It's always about, okay, well, what's next? And the thing that Aries that can be problematic is they have so much fire at the beginning of a project, and it's like, that's not always sustainable. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, you have a lot of Taurus in your chart, so you have more stamina than most Aries. But most Aries, they're really big, and then they're like, they put all this energy into it straight away, and then it just fizzles out. They're like, yeah, well, cookie, what's next, But you have more of that staying power, that probably because you have that strong Taurus in your chart. You don't like start many things and not finish them, I would take it.
Right. No, once in a while, though, I will start a book and not finish it, I have to admit, which some of my friends think is awful. But as far as projects go, yeah, it'll bug me until it's finished, actually.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. It's like on my brain, like, okay, just get that done. Just don't you can't put things off. It's just, it doesn't work, for me.
Yeah. And I can't fathom wasting time reading a book that I don't like. I think that's like torturous. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think if I'm 3 or 4 chapters in and I don't care about the characters and everything,
you're out.
I toss it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. No patience. Same thing with television. Or
series. I will watch a few, and I'm like, nah, it's not. I don't care what happens to them.
Yep.
I turn it off.
Exactly. You gotta care. You gotta have some interest.
Yep.
So we have this wonderful season upon us today. What we're going to talk about, 3 fragrances that we're going to advise for everybody. Honeysuckle, which it is aligned with water as well as fire. I put water as well as fire in this. I'm going to talk about cherry, and also leather. So Diane, let's talk first about honeysuckle. This is the Aries fragrance, apparently, because it comes out in the beginning of spring, apparently, the flower.
Yes. Well, it's the hummingbirds go for honeysuckle, butterflies, bees. It's because it's sweet and it has a little honey in it, obviously. Mm-hmm. So it signifies spring, summer, and and good things. I love honeysuckle personally. I think it's beautiful. They say that it's good luck if you plant it near the entrance of your home. It's supposed to bring you some good luck and stop evil spirits from entering.
Ooh, okay.
So that's good. But and it's funny because it smells stronger at night than it does during the day, the actual honeysuckle flower.
Huh.
And they say that's so the for pollinating, the moths and things, they smell it and they go after it in the evening hours. But it's a beautiful creation. It's very popular over in Europe. And as a matter of fact, Erin Lauder, she made that miniature. She makes a fragrance that reminds her of France, with honeysuckle in it. So it's just a beautiful creation. And again, I love things that are created from flowers. I love fragrances that are made from flowers, as opposed to things that are just kind of put together as ingredients. Sometimes, it's just like there are fragrances that are honeysuckle that literally the top, the middle, and the bottom notes are all honeysuckle straight through. And there's not a lot of flowers that you can do that with, but you can with honeysuckle because it has a lot of dimension. So you can use it as a top note, as a mid note, as a bottom note, because it is very light on top, and that's what a top note is. The mid note, you've got the honeysuckle. It's a different, maybe a different strain, but it's something that will hold the fragrance. And then the bottom note of honeysuckle is because it lasts, and that's what a bottom note is. It's what kind of makes it and holds it. So you can put honeysuckle with some leather or some musk to give it a little more body on the bottom, but the honeysuckle is going to be right there throughout all the different phases of the fragrance. That's very unique. Yeah.
How would you describe it?
It's a sweet flower. It has a little floral, but it has honey. It has some honey note in it. So that's why it comes in. And you know it when you smell it. Okay. When you smell it, you're like, oh, what is that?
That
smells like the name, honeysuckle.
I was going to say, yeah.
It smells like the name. So
Diane, were you surprised to learn that honeysuckle is so associated with Aries? Did that make sense to you?
It did. Yes, it did. Because I do love it. As a matter of fact, when I was reading through your notes, I went up to my my dresser upstairs, which looks like, probably, Sephora or something, because I have so many fragrances. And I was just smelling to see which ones had more of that, honeysuckle or, various notes, because I do wear different fragrances depending on the day. And if it's a beautiful sunny day, I will go for something with a honeysuckle in it. If it's a freezing cold, miserable, rainy day, the only time I would wear something with honeysuckle or any kind of light floral is if I'm just so down in the dumps and I can't pull myself out of it. Then sometimes I'll grab something with honeysuckle in it. But again, it's something really for a sunny day to me.
Interesting. Well, you made a really interesting point. So I wonder because if it's rainy, right, and dreary and rainy and the air is very moist, that really is going to affect how something smells on your skin.
Yeah. Right? But for me, even more than that, it's how it affects my brain, how it affects my mind, how I think, what's my mood, because I think people wear fragrance, yes, because they want to smell good, and they want to smell good to other people, of course, but it does something to, it's for you it does something to your psyche that kind of gives you the impetus to, be a little more happy, to give you more energy. I mean, this morning I went to the gym. I wear fragrance to the gym. Now, do I reek when I walk through the place? No, but I wear something fresh and clean, and it kind of it makes me happy that in my aura, I smell good, because the gym is, kind of a smelly place, Let's face it, So it's okay. You can wear fragrance. I wear it to go to the supermarket. It just makes me happy, and I think that's what fragrance should do for everybody. Make you happy.
For sure. And honeysuckle is pretty light,
sweet, fresh, very feminine. Yeah. You won't, again, there are some ingredients or notes that you can use unisex for unisex fragrances. Honeysuckle is not one of those notes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a feminine note,
which is interesting that it's associated with Aries.
Yeah. But
I think that's great.
Yeah. So
really cool. So, just some more information about honeysuckle. Apparently, it's, as you said, associated with luck. Apparently, though, Diane, if you burn it, it's bad luck.
Yes, I did read that actually. Yes, bad luck if you burn it. I
So
don't know why. I guess because nobody should burn a honeysuckle plant. It's just not. It's not cool.
it's
I don't
not
know.
cool.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But it's associated with love, joy, happiness, fostering feelings of warmth and comfort. It's used to, this is really cool. It's used to attract positive energy, enhance relationships, and deepen emotional bonds.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps clear mental blockages like mint. We went over mint one point.
Yep.
And promotes self-love, bringing an overall sense of peace and fulfillment.
Can't get better than that.
I know. What a perfect way, especially I think if, things have changed, even if it's a good change you're going through. I mean, the changes that happen during eclipse season, it's almost like this homecoming is what I think of with honeysuckle, right?
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Mm-hmm.
And it's associated with water, but at the same time, it's weird. It's also very much associated with Aries, and Aries is anything but water. So I gave it the fire element because it ignites passion, creativity, and motivation. It fuels our drive and ambition while enhancing personal power and the ability to take bold action.
Makes sense.
It promotes warmth and connection, and it helps us to express desires with confidence, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like it makes you just feel more at home, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a homey kind of a comforting. It's a comfort fragrance too. It can be very comforting.
Yeah. What's interesting is Hera, Greek goddess Hera, goddess of marriage and family, aligns with honeysuckle's nurturing energy. It seems very Cancerian in a lot of ways. The sign of Cancer, which is all about emotional security and family, and it supports Hera. Supports personal connections and love, fostering balance in relationships, and encourages emotional security. So, I mean, I think that's really cool that it's associated with Aries, but there's a very strong Cancerian home because Aries as an archetype is always on the move. Like I'm sure they like, to stay someplace, right? They like their home, but they're very much on like, what's next? What's next? Right. So it seems like it could really provide a certain sense of emotional comfort, especially the Aries.
Yeah. No, that's very true because again, from living in Manhattan for so many years, I'm used to being out all the time, going. And when I moved, to the kind of suburbs, friends of mine were like, "Do you ever stay home?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've only been out like 4 nights this week." He's like, 4 nights? Like I go out 4 times a month. It's like, oh my God. I can't. I have to get out of the house. I got to go, So I think that's part of it. So, yeah, I'm not a homebody per se. You just can't say that about me. I got to go, even if I just take a walk or go to the supermarket or, I volunteer at a food pantry once in a while and, just to, do some good and get out, got to do it.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Yeah. When I was in Manhattan too, I lived there for several years. It's like a dressing room, your home, because you're always doing, there's always so many things to do.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the rents are outrageous. And you're just never home. And now that I live in LA, I feel like, it's much more of a place where, I mean, you can go out, but nothing like New York when there's always something going on.
Always
something.
Get a ticket to a matinee, go see a show, go to the movies. I mean, you can walk anywhere, it's great. You can sit at any cafe and have a glass of wine. It's like kind of like Paris, you can just go by yourself. It's great.
It is, especially that moment when like the weather just starts getting good and then you notice everybody is go outside and eating and drinking, like, right at 6 o'clock. It's like, where did all these people go?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a great feeling, very spring feeling.
Yeah.
So what about cherry? How do you feel?
Oh my gosh,
cherry?
I'm so excited about cherry. You have no idea. That's the highlight of my little speech today. Well, I mean, cherry is making such an amazing comeback. Mm-hmm. Cherry has been around for a long time. Everybody knows about cherry, cherry pies and blah blah blah. But it's a very dynamic, gourmand ingredient. So, and I say gourmand because it's, you can eat cherries, anything gourmand, like vanilla is gourmand. Those are, the ones that are, satiable. And it's going to continue to, my opinion is that it will continue to be elevated in the perfume arena over the next year or two. What's cool about cherry is that it mixes so well with so many other ingredients. It mixes well with musk, with almond, with vanilla, with amber, with spice, with woods. You can mix it. It's very versatile, cherry. It pushes in a different direction in each one of these ingredients pushes it in a different direction. But cherry blossom has been around since like the 1880s, but the cherry fruit note specifically is very much 21st century. It's very kind of new. They say cherries remind you of, popsicles, Italian ice, floral lip gloss, pies, things like that. But once again, Tom Ford, who was such an innovator, he did something called the lost cherry. It always has an underlying, kind of wink, wink, for a lot of his names. And I thought, oh God, when I first heard it, and then when I smelt it, I was like, he did it again, The bottle is beautiful. The fragrance is interesting. And so as a result, there have been a lot of new ones. So, for example, Sabrina Carpenter, she signed a fragrance deal with a company called Scent Beauty, and she did a fragrance, and it's called Cherry Baby. So you're going to see a lot more of these coming out. But, cherry blossoms, Bath and Body Works did one. That's one of the, most iconic brands now. But you'll see more and more of these cherry fragrances coming up. So I'm glad that we made note of that one for this particular sign.
L'Occitane, how do you say that again?
L'Occitane.
L'Occitane?
No.
L'Occitane.
L'Occitane.
I've been using it for decades at this point. I still know how to say it. L'Occitane. They have one. It's too feminine, but for a guy, I think. But they have like this. It's like this hand cream. And it's cherry blossom, and it's super creamy. But it's called cherry blossom. Is there a difference between like cherry and cherry blossom?
Well, usually cherry blossom is a little lighter. When they say blossom, it's a little less heavy, But did that hand cream have any almond in it? Did you notice?
I think so. It makes sense. It was highly creamy.
Yeah.
Really
creamy. Usually if you're going to have a hand cream, for some reason, they always put a lot of the almond note in there. But cherry blossom is a lighter kind of note than just plain, strong cherry. But you'll see if you go to a Sephora or you go to any Saks, Fifth Avenue or anything, you're going to start seeing more and more of these cherries. Like I said, it's very 21st century. So we're right at the edge.
It's not a trend. It's like it's not going to be a flash in the pan. Cherry is here to stay. It's here
to stay, and it's you'd be very much in trend if you wear something cherry now, because it's people will probably notice what you're wearing. They'll say, "Is that cherry?" Like everybody knows what cherry smells like, right?
Yeah.
But again, it depends on what it's mixed with. Is it mixed with woods? Is it mixed with amber? Is it mixed with spice? But at the end of the day, the underpinning of it is cherry.
Now, with that Tom Ford cherry one, is that cherry and leather?
I believe there is one called Cherry and Leather. There's another. He has a lot of leather fragrances as well, especially. But I think he's got one or two now that are cherry. As a matter of fact, I was going to head to the department store maybe next week, because I like to just go up and down the aisles and see what's new, and I read about them, and then of course I have in my mind I have a vision of what it smells like, and then I like to go and see if I'm right about it.
You're right. You keep it in your head, or you take notes?
I keep it in my head.
Okay. Yeah. Right on.
It's, there are some people that can go to a restaurant. I can't do this as much as most people that are good at this. Sometimes it's, someone that cooks well, and they taste a sauce, and they'll say, oh, I know what's in this there. And they identify almost all the ingredients that are in that sauce.
Wow.
As opposed to, just tasting it as an overall delicious sauce that smells great and tastes great on your meat or whatever. And so for me, it's like I do that with fragrance. I can identify all the notes. And so sometimes it's hard for me to absorb it all as one body, which is a creation, at the end of the day. But the trick is, the perfumers always say, if I mix them well enough, you're not going to be able to figure out every single ingredient that's in it.
That's interesting.
The well-mixed thing. It's it's like wine, you can smell the chocolate and the cherry, but you can't get down to the nitty gritty of it unless you're really a, sommelier, and you can really, do that for a living.
That's fascinating.
If things stick out, it's not done right.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that was that's what my assumption was about cherry. I'm like, how do you have cherry that blends well with others? Because it seems like such a strong fragrance.
See. Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah.
When
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go to the Grove and
it'll be fun. Yep.
So with cherry metaphysically, it's very different from honeysuckle, I think, in a lot of respects, because it represents vitality, joy, abundance. It's very stimulating, it seems. Creativity, it's supposed to stimulate creativity, personal growth, and playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And the sweet fragrance of cherry enhances feelings of happiness and celebration, while also promoting sensuality and a youthful spirit. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
And it's also a symbol of renewal and the energy of new beginnings. I always think of cherry blossom spring. Like, isn't there like that weekend, or it's like very short period of time?
Yes. In Washington, D.C., the cherry blossoms, people come in droves to see the cherry blossoms. Yeah.
And New England, oftentimes too, I believe. From what I've gathered, although I'm not sure. I never saw one personally. But it's associated with fire, which is no surprise to me. It ignites passion, creativity, and vitality. Cherry stimulates the senses and fuels personal ambition and transformation while encouraging action and enthusiasm. This is really like a saving grace. I think a lot could be enhanced with cherry.
Yes. Yes.
Really good.
I mean, even the name cherry is a happy name, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is a very happy name.
Yeah.
And it's associated with Persephone, the goddess of spring and rebirth. Persephone embodies the renewal energy of cherry, awakening the senses to new life and growth, encouraging fresh starts and revitalizing the spirit. And just like cherry, Persephone's not to be messed with, because I think she got really mad because they took her daughter, right? In the myth. I got to go back to that myth. I forget. I think that, she well, all these gods and goddesses, they pack a punch, but cherry certainly does. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. Great for spring. Would you wear it in the summertime too?
Oh, absolutely.
You would. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. As a matter of fact, that might be my new birthday fragrance. I might buy myself a cherry fragrance.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I might treat myself. I have to see. I have to, smell everything, and then I'll make my decision. But
the big question will be cherry with what?
That's
cherry with what?
I don't know. I'll let you know. Let's see if I can smell what else is in the fragrance besides cherry.
I know, but they wouldn't put cherry with citrus.
No.
So that's one of the things that we're not going.
Citrus would die. Citrus would
die very quick.
With cherry.
Yeah. Well, now we want to go to my favorite fragrance, my favorite scent. It's leather, which is not really what is it? It's not like, it's certainly not from a flower, obviously.
Right. No, it's actually, there are different chemicals that they put together to make leather. It's not one specific thing, but King George III loved the smell of his leather gloves. So he asked Creed, which was one of the first perfume houses, to make something that smelled like his leather gloves. So Creed made something called Royal English Leather.
Oh.
And then I don't know if you remember English leather. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah. That was a long time ago, and they got it at CVS. It was pretty cheap.
That's right. So, again, leather can be rich and leather can be cheap. It depends on the notes that you put together to make the leather. You know, again, it's the ingredients and how many they use and how expensive they are. But you know, leather can be tricky. You know, leather can be almost burn your nose when you smell it. You know, and he loved the smell of his leather gloves, and they made it into a fragrance, and the rest is history. So it's really been around since the 18th century, which is amazing. Yeah. So
now, how do you feel? Like, I feel like leather works for Aries in springtime, because spring can be very unpredictable. Spring, you know, in Massachusetts, you probably did too, because you're in the East Coast. There was only one April Fool's Day, and we got a nor'easter.
yeah.
And it was, I feel like it was probably it may have been in the 90s, actually. The 90s or the early, I think it was, no, may have been in the 80s or 90s, late 80s or 90s, probably 90s. But because spring is so unpredictable and the weather can be, you know, not very nice at times, I think leather is really good for that, because there's a certain like warmth to it.
Comfort. It's a comfort fragrance. Yeah. Leather's comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like a quiet security, I would say, leather.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Would you wear it in the summertime?
I would not. I think it's too heavy. It's too heavy for a person to wear leather. I mean, maybe a hint of it. It would depend on the fragrance. You know, again, if you mix it with certain citrus notes and things like that, you probably could. But for me, leather is more of a late fall, winter kind of an odor, if you will. Smell. Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So even for a guy, you think it would be ill-advised to wear leather in the summer?
In the middle of summer when it's, 90 degrees. And yeah, for me, that's just my opinion. I mean, somebody may love it and maybe it smells good on them. And again, it depends on what they mix it with. But for me, in the summer, I think it's a little too heavy.
Yeah. I would say if it was going to be used in the summer, I would say like nighttime cool nighttime, but not in the day when it's nauseating, the idea, right?
Yeah.
A citrus would be better.
Yes, for sure.
Like a lemony type thing, or what's the V word? It's
verbena.
That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I associate that more with summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, a leather coat in the spring is so great. Like, not one of those insulated ones, but like a nice leather jacket in the spring is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think leather can go really, really great for the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say day or night you would use it? So say not summer, of course, that's out of the question, but would you wear leather in the daytime? Is it office appropriate? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny about leather too. Like if you have a leather jacket or something and you put it in the closet with your other clothes, sometimes the other clothes can absorb some of the odor of the leather. Depends on the jacket. But I know for myself, if I wear a leather jacket, when I take, and I take the blouse off, I can smell the leather on that. And so then, of course, I have to get it dry cleaned immediately because I don't want that leather smell on my blouse, But, because it's so strong, leather is strong. I mean, I don't know if you have leather gloves. Sometimes even when you take them off, you smell your hands and they still smell like the leather.
So I have the opposite problem. I feel like leather leather absorbs other fragrances in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it almost like holds on to it. There's something about leather, like smells can get into the leather.
Yes, it's very porous, and
it's very porous.
It can pull it. It can pull the other odors into the leather as well. Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right. It can do that if you have a fragrance on that you're wearing and you rub it against the leather, it will really hold on to it for a very long time.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. Like I wouldn't mind. Like if I was wearing a shirt and then it smelled like leather after, I would be thrilled. I would try not to dry clean it. I think that would be so cool because now my shirt smells like leather.
Yeah. Well, to each his own.
Yeah. Do you like the molten brown?
Yeah, I love it.
Russian leather.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful creation, and as I said, leather is created through chemicals that they put together to make the smell of, leather, it's like lavender, you can get lavender and it smells great, or you can get, the kind of the ingredients that make lavender. They can recreate the smell of lavender without using lavender. There's lavender and lavandin. Lavandin is, the chemical version, if you will. And sometimes it smells better than lavender. They can make things these days with chemicals that smell just as good, if not better, than the real thing.
I know. Isn't that funny?
It's amazing. Yeah.
So get your leather now, because Diane Crecca does not want you, or she does not advise you, and neither do I, to wear leather in the summertime. So get it now.
That's
Hurry
right.
up. Get your jackets. Go to the store.
If you're on the East Coast, you have a few months.
Yeah, at least. At least. Well, let's talk about the metaphysical properties of leather. Again, it's not, it's not coming from a flower, but it's associated with strength, resilience, and protection. Perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it provides grounding and stability, and it offers this sense of security and confidence. I really think so. It's something. There's something about a leather jacket that it just makes you feel like, it makes you feel very Aries. I think it makes you feel very confident, very strong, non-screwable with.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And it symbolizes also, which is cool, I didn't realize this, transformation and self-empowerment, helping to break free from limitations and embracing personal authenticity and individuality. If that's not Aries, I don't know what is.
Exactly. Perfect.
I mean, it's great. It's great. And in terms of elementally, probably because, it comes from an animal, right? Or technically it comes from an animal, right? I know they synthesize it and they have these chemicals, but it comes from an animal.
Sure.
So it connects to, say that again, Diane?
From the hide, yes. You're right.
Yeah. So it connects to stability, grounding, and material manifestation. Oh, that's nice to know. It can promote strength and perseverance while fostering a connection to the physical world. Oh, and listen to this, the embodiment of personal power.
Love it.
I know, right?
Love it.
All you need is a fragrance, and you'll get actually your FragranceScopes too. If you're watching, you'll get a beautiful listing for every single horoscope, and it'll give you advice as to what fragrance of leather you might enjoy. And it's associated with the god Mars, which makes a lot of sense. God of war and strength. Mars embodies the bold, powerful energy of leather, supporting protection, assertiveness, and the courage to take action and stand firm in one's beliefs and actions.
Wow.
I love it.
It's perfect.
I think
it's for this sign.
Perfect, especially because things are getting jostled around with eclipse season. You got this new era with Neptune entering Aries, and chances are we're going to be having to move into uncharted territory, places that are unfamiliar for us. And with leather, it's going to give you that sense of confidence as to, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to make this work, right? It's going to help you to move into new situations with confidence and power.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I think that you hit it right on the head with these three. This for this sign, I think it's perfect.
I think it is too. But again, I feel like we got to rush, because what about cherry, Diane? Would you do cherry in the summer or no?
Oh yeah, it would depend on which one. It would depend on the fragrance, but yeah, I would. Like something nice about going out in the evening in the summer with a nice fragrance that is pleasing and everybody likes the smell of it. And it's something nice when people can identify something. They're like, wait, what is that? I know that smell, and people then smell it. And, it's engaging, it's a conversation starter too. Sometimes I notice for myself, if I'm somewhere, I'm online or something, and they're like, what are you wearing? I know it. Don't tell me I know it, but what are you wearing? So they want to know and they don't want to know, so it's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
And because Neptune is entering Aries, I would really look at these fragrances, honeysuckle, cherry, and leather, as perhaps staples. Again, weather specific. So with honeysuckle, you would wear that in the summer. That's not that's okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cherry, it depends on what it's paired with. Like a leather cherry, you wouldn't wear in the summertime.
Right. But
and
cherry,
leather,
like a cherry blossom.
A cherry blossom, yeah, that's like a nice, like a light like a lighter
body lotion.
cherry.
Again, I'm a big body lotion shower gel person.
Yeah, you
know,
layer. So you'll use the
layering
same.
is great for sure.
Yeah, you'll use the same line.
Line,
So it's like
exactly.
a layered experience.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Well, if you're at home and you're interested in any of these fragrances or any of these notes, rather, you go on to check out Perfumist.Fr on your iPhone or Android. You can go on to Perfumist.Fr and type in any note that you like, any note that you're curious about, and it's going to give you a list of options. You'll also get to check out the fragrance scopes that Diane and I do. That's going to be in the description below. And if you're interested in finding out what fragrance might be best for you based upon your chart and Diane's expertise, well, you can get a fragrance scope consultation with me and Diane. We'll get to spend some time with you, find out what your goals are, where you want to go, and how you can smell great en route getting there. So check out the link in the description, and we'll do that for you as well. So we did it, Diane. We went through all of the fragrances for Aries season. Definitely check out FragranceScopes.com for more info, PsychicSun.com, Fragrance Scopes for your reading. And you'll also stay tuned for the fragrance scopes that we do for every single sign.
Right.
We're going to smell great, Diane, this season.
I'm excited. I'm on my hunt now for a good cherry.
I know, right? Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
All right, everybody at home, thanks so much for watching. Definitely check out Fragrance Scopes. Those are going to be linked in the description below, and we will see you next season. Bye-bye.